different than what's in our budget, we flag those items and refer them for further discussion. So basically, if there's an interest in doing something other than what's in our budget, a council member should be asking to flag an item. I would expect that we would do that after your presentations. There will be an opportunity for council members to ask questions and for you to provide responses. All of those flagged items from today and ones from previous days will be discussed Friday morning. So the ultimate yes or no on anything would be done Friday morning. I guess that's the process. If council chooses not to flag your item, then that means that they're choosing not to take any action on that item, and it stays as it was in the budget proposed by administration, either funded or unfunded or funded at 2011 levels. So hopefully that clarifies the process for everybody. We want to make sure that we move relatively quickly so that all the community groups get their appropriate time to make their presentation. I think administration had said that they've set it for about 5 minutes to make the presentation, and then it'll be up to council to ask questions. For council members, I'm going to ask you to please just ensure that you're asking questions of the community group rather than getting into discussion or debate, because we want to ensure that everybody gets their time to speak to us, all the different community agencies. If it's something that you want to debate further on the merits of funding it, then it's something that you should flag. And as soon as somebody flags it, then we'll send it on, and we won't have any further debate on it because we'll have that debate on Friday morning. Okay? Everybody comfortable with sort of how we're set up for the afternoon? Okay, then we'll start with our first of the community group presentations, and that's the disabled transportation. Oh, sorry, one other thing. If you have any handout materials, Ms. Audrey Cherney in the back corner there would be happy to accept them, and she'll make sure that they get circulated to council in advance of your presentation. So with that, we'll head on to our first of our community agencies and the Disabled Transportation Society. If you'd like to come forward and introduce yourself when you get to the microphone, just so that council knows who's here and our administration can make sure that they record your names. We'd be happy to welcome you, and we'll kind of start the clock ticking when you're seated.
No pressure.
No pressure. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm from Disabled Transportation. My name is Marion Cook. I'm the coordinator, and this is Daryl Watchhorn. He's on the board of directors. Our greatest challenge for DTS has been to continue to be and manage our growth in the demand for mobility transportation services. DTS has experienced a 66% increase in ridership from 2009 to 2011. This has resulted in an operating deficit in 2009 to 17,806, 2010 39,501, and 2011 projected as 65,000. DTS has been able to continue providing service by using capital funds in 2009 and 2010, totaling 57,387. We anticipate the demand for service will continue to grow, although we do not expect another 66% increase over 3 years. We are confident that a 6 to 10% increase is likely. This would necessitate an additional bus and driver be added by 2014. Our greatest increase in cost is payroll. DTS employee wages have been frozen for 3 years. Remaining at the 2011 of grant funding will result in wage remaining at the 2009 level for an additional 3 years. We believe this will be risky and a hardship to our staff, or accordingly, new qualified staff will be near impossible. Acquiring new qualified staff will be near impossible. This is the least desirable method to reduce DTS costs. To effectively manage a $750,000 plus annual operating budget, it has become imperative that DTS acquire a full-time manager. Managing an operation of this size with a part-time coordinator and a volunteer board is no longer viable. It is in the organization's best interest to add this position. The addition of a full-time manager will also provide DTS with the opportunities to seek other funding sources and become involved in more fundraising opportunities. The long-term effect could result in reducing operating funding requests to the city. What have we done to help ourselves? We have increased our efficiency by reducing costs per rider by 32%, from $15 to $11 per trip over the last 3 years. We have increased revenue by increasing the cost of user fees by 100% and membership by 150%. User fees was $1.50 per one-way trip, now it is $3. Membership fees were $10 annually, it is now $25 annually. We have sought additional revenue through fundraising and have made an appeal to the public for donations. Fundraising has increased to $5,000 in 2011. Public donations have increased from $100 in 2010 to $1,800 in 2011. What options do we have in additional funding is not available. Further growth in our service will be on hold. Shifts will need to be reduced. We will have to forego additions to fleet, and we will have to continue our wage freeze. Effects: limiting growth would require clients to be put on a waiting list until a membership becomes available. Reducing shifts would result in limiting and dropping services. For example, in 2010, DTS began providing transportation for a group of developmentally challenged persons who use our bus for transportation to and from work each day. Clients will be restricted to essential trips only. This will likely result in cutting rides for recreation and social outings, casual shopping, and church services. It is our goal to work with Grand Prairie Transit to provide an efficient, safe, and comfortable specialized transportation service for persons with limited mobility and seniors over the age of 75. We are proud of the efficient level of service we have provided over the last 34 years, and we will continue with the city's support to fill a vital and ever-increasing need in our community. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Marianne.
And there is a, Frank will bring up a condensed budget on your monitors. It's up there now.
Slide there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so so that outlines the so the request then is for the 130, 189, and 242. Is that correct? Okay, so I'm seeing from administration that that's so the budget is $404,040, and the request, I guess, the total request is the numbers next, and the difference is that final column.
Yeah.
Okay. So an opportunity for questions from council. Councillor Rice.
A few years ago, there was a proposal that you should move into the service center, and they would provide assistance. Did that ever happen? And if not, maybe Ms. McKinley could say what assistance was offered at that time.
Okay, we do have an office in city services. It is our dispatch office, and the city has, and our buses are stored in the barn out there in the garage. And that is all services in kind. The funding for that is provided by the city in kind. And
So
our
that-
dispatch office is totally run out of the city service center. And if we get the new manager, he will also be in that office.
Okay. Councillor Rice, any further questions?
Ms. McKinley, did we not offer to do some accounting or something with them?
Audra?
Councillor Rice, in fact, the city has provided administration services and assistance, also assistance with preparing their budget and their business plan.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any further questions for the delegation?
Could we flash that screen back up again? I didn't get the numbers
Sure,
down.
Councillor Rice. So any further questions for the delegation or for administration? Seeing none, is there anybody that care to take any action on this item? Sorry, Councillor Rice?
I just want one more question, if I may. There's a big jump, 59,000. So 42 of that is for a manager. What is the other?
Frank, can you bring it up again?
So, Councillor Rice, which year are you speaking about?
The difference in the year, if you go from 212 to 213, there's a $59,000 increase. It goes up about 50,000 each year.
Okay, the big increase in 2014 and 2013, we have, I believe, put an extra bus in there and for a replacement and a replacement new bus for 2014, and there is also a wage increase in that amount
Okay,
for everybody.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for the delegation? No? Seeing none, then this is an item that I'd like to flag for further discussion for tomorrow. Okay,
So you flagged it?
I've flagged it. Yep, thank you. Okay, thanks very much for the presentation and for the information.
Thank you ever so much for listening to us.
So our next organization that had let us know that they're going to be here was Grand Prairie Live Theatre, and I think I saw some folks from the Live Theatre. We did receive circulation of document. Join us at the microphone and say hello.
My name is Jose Jimenez. No, my name is Rick Urshik. I'm the general manager of the Grand Prairie Live Theatre. And I brought with me today our incoming, our vice president, who will be our incoming president next year, Wayne Ailing.
Welcome.
We're here today to talk about some additional funding for operations at the theater. I've presented you with a handout. Hopefully you all have this. It just basically identifies the four areas, the 5 areas that we've been having, increases in the last 3 years, starting with repair and building maintenance. Has gone up around $3,000 in the last 3 years. Our insurance has gone up since 2008, almost $3,000, and we've been told that there'll be another $1,000 added onto the bill this year. Utilities are the big one, and since I've been there in 2009, they've gone up just over $6,000, $6,500. Our ticket sales were good until in 2007, 2008. We had 2 really good seasons, and then with the decline in the economy and somewhat of a turndown, they drastically dropped the last 2 years. We are hoping to see a better increase in ticket sales this year. But in order for us to survive and meet our budgets, you do have a copy of the budgets that came through the first time, the 3-year plan budgets, which show a deficit of about $50,000 each of the 3 years. One of the things that the board feels that we need to do is we need to find ourselves a full-time tech, so that we can start adding some more shows and dates and bringing more people in order to try and increase our revenues. I've got $42,000 showing there for a full-time tech, but in fact, I think in the budget it was around $34,000. This would be for a full year, and we probably can get away with a tech for a 10-month term. We're not on some of the things. Some of the things that we are doing at the theater right now, as far as trying to get extra funding, is we've applied and received a casino license for 2013, and we do actually have a raffle on a television to help us out a little bit. We're not asking for the full amount for a technician, but we felt that in the $30,000, if it got our subsidy up to about that $46,000 range, that we would be able to get closer to meeting our budget and not having to dip into our surplus. So that's about it. I'll pass the microphone over to Mr. Ailing, and he can tell you a little bit about the theater, because I think we still have some time left.
Well, it's a real pleasure to be here, Mayor Gibbon and Council, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of the board for your support for the renovations that are needed for the building. When it was newly renovated in 1985, we thought it would last forever, but of course things don't. And your support is going to go a long way to ensuring that we'll be able to be viable from the point of view of having a facility that people want to come and be entertained in. When I got back on the board after an 11-year absence, I was quite impressed with the changes that had gone on with the advent of the new dance component that Candace Botcher has brought in. There's over 50 adults that are learning how to tap dance and do other types of dance involved with musical theater. It's a real new thing, and in fact, we've had to go off-site because their needs have proven to be more than what we thought they would have to be. The other new thing was when Rick asked me to do Mad Moose Mayhem, which was the first variety show that Live Theater's done in over 11 years, and it was virtually sold out. So there have been things on the go to increase revenues and increase usage of the facility. But when I got on the board and actually saw behind the scenes what was going on, I realized that we needed to ask for more help on an ongoing basis from City Council. The drastic increase in the utilities is something that couldn't be planned for. As well, I was quite shocked to see the decline in revenues from '08 to '09. And as it's my job to put together the 50th anniversary season, I've been phoning and emailing and Facebooking theaters around the province and discovered that they almost 100% at the community level experienced the same types of declines. Obviously, the percentages are different from community to community, but the reality is that Alberta as a general economy took hit a couple of years ago, and we all know that in our private businesses. So live theater is dealing with that. The hit show Chicago last year brought in a tremendous amount of revenue, and we shared that with the college as a 50-50 partnership. And I'm quite sure that the 50th anniversary season will be quite unique and will attract lots of people. But it doesn't change the bottom line, which is on an ongoing basis, community theater needs the support of the community, and you as council members represent that community, and we ask for your help.
Okay, thanks very much for the presentation. Discussion or questions for the delegation? Councillor Crokin?
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. Rick or Wayne, on the insurance, have you had any claims? And that's just one area that I know that I think if you had no claims, that if you've shocked a little bit, or do you? Maybe
No, we actually fall under, it's insurance that's provided by the city.
Mm-hmm.
So we have no, we don't shop.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
The increase I was told was because of they had to look at all the facilities, and they were just saying that they're worth more money, so
Okay.
they need to be insured for more money. It's not just us on
Okay.
that item.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Crokin. Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. Rick and Wayne, can you just remind the rest of council, just in terms of the staffing levels now?
Okay.
For the technician.
Yeah, I'm a part-time general manager. I work 80 hours. I work way more than 80 hours a month, but I'm paid part-time. This is my 4th year, and we have a part-time, almost full-time box office girl, and that's it right now. We had a technician. We had some issues with the technician, and he had to leave. And we are currently got applications in, and I've interviewed a couple more people.
Thank you, and I would like to flag this.
Okay, okay, so Councillor Radburn's flagged it. Councillor Rice, do you have a question?
I just want to clarify, I'm having a little trouble. It says why we are asking for an extra $30,000 in funding for operations. But then it says total costs up in 3 years. Total 52.5. I can't, I'm not being able to.
Okay, that's my fault, Helen. I just was writing some stuff down really quick. Well, the increase in repair and maintenance is about $3,000 in the last 3 years, okay?
So you're asking $3,000 more per year?
No. I was just showing you what the increases were in the 3 years since I've been there.
Okay, so just forget the bottom part, the top line is what you're here for.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just tried to confuse you.
Okay,
And
you
were
succeeded.
successful.
And if I can just add something in to to give you an idea behind the scenes how things have changed from when I was the live theater manager, the increase in the use of technology has been quite excellent there. With that increase in technology, there's more buttons that need to be pushed. We've gone from lever-operated lighting control systems to computer-controlled. So when it comes to a technician, that person needs to know how to operate lights, sound, how to change the technology, keep us up to date. When we did Mad Moose Mayhem, all of the sound was computer-generated. It works very slick, but I needed the help of the technician to bring me up to speed because I was out of date from the time when I was there before. So it really is a change in the level of competency that we require behind the scenes at our theater, with Franz Crotchet's music series there, and with some other plans for additional music shows we have in our 50th anniversary. It really is a key element to us moving forward and being able to offer a better service for the public, which is really what we exist for.
Okay, so this item has been flagged, so I'll ask council members if you're in the queue, please have a fairly direct question for additional information that'll help you make a decision tomorrow, because this has already been flagged to tomorrow's discussion. Okay, Councillor Wong?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Given. My question has to do with the repairs and maintenance and utilities. These are costs that you actually incur?
Yes.
Okay, I guess most city facilities, we cover those costs. So, yeah. It was
The
important.
subsidy that we get at this point in time is $16,900.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's important to know that you guys actually do cover quite a bit of this cost then. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Gustafson?
Thanks, Mayor Given. Thanks for coming today, guys. So how many members do you have in your theater group, and approximately, do you have any statistics on how many people you entertain a year?
Well, it usually averages around 300 volunteers a year, and it changes from year to year. Anywhere from, since I've been managing, anywhere from 7,000 to 10,000 patrons a year, ticket purchasers. That doesn't include the things that we're trying to, that we're adding, like if you don't purchase a ticket, like we have the belly dancers and the Scottish dancers and lots of other groups that are coming to use the facility now because they've found that the cost at the college theaters are high for rental.
All right.
And that doesn't include all of the kids that are trained in the summertime through the Second Streeters
Yeah, the
program.
summer drama camps, yeah.
So those are, have been running for about 20 years, very successful, always full. I actually had somebody phoning me at my work saying, can you get my kid in? And I wasn't able to because it was full. So that's also another program that we provide from a community development basis.
Perfect, thanks.
Thanks very much. Looks like there's no further questions, so your item's been flagged to tomorrow, where we'll be discussing funding it or not funding it. And those discussions will be webcast, so you have the option to either watch it online or come and join us in person. Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Everybody come to a show.
I just shut it off 3 times.
Okay, so our next organization was the Grand Prairie Public Library, and I see some faces I recognize in the front row. Come on down.
Gary's going to try and use high tech.
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Uh-oh.
Let's see what we can do here.
I'll go with you.
Is this a
likes
proposed
traveling.
renovation?
You?
Bangkok, isn't it? Flooded.
This is, no. Just have to find where this thing plugs in and,
That's easy to find, too.
yeah, apparently.
Well, while you're getting set there, Gary, if it comes up, then maybe you can jump in, but I don't know if you can start off your presentation without the PowerPoint?
Well, I'd really rather not. Is there anybody
You're
here?
assured that we were going to be given assistance with this. I asked about this.
Okay.
I didn't want this to happen. And
And
Well,
yet,
I'll tell you what, why don't we, we'll move on to the next group, and we can make sure that we have somebody here that can help get that organized for you.
okay.
Okay?
okay.
So the next organization that we had was Technical Search and Rescue, and so I think there are some folks here that want to do that. Just while we're doing that, I don't know if it'd be possible for administration either call somebody down from IT or potentially to set up. Okay, somebody's already doing it. Okay, thank you. So so we'll have somebody from IT come down so we can make sure that that's set up. But if the folks from Technical Search and Rescue wanted to come forward, we'd welcome you to the table and just introduce yourselves so council knows who we're talking with.
Good afternoon. My name's Carrie Ann Buttelich. I'm with Technical Search and Rescue, and I have to apologize. Casey, our president at this time, has been called away on a family emergency, so we're standing in for him at this point.
I'm Michael Arakis, also Technical Search and Rescue Training Director.
Okay.
As for a presentation, again, we're kind of leading into the blind here. I was with Casey when we did our presentation to Protective Services. I wasn't sure if we were supposed to do that again. If we were, I apologize.
So at this point in the budget is the 2011 funding was $20,000, and that's it's, as with all the other groups, proposed to be held the same at $20,000 for each of the next 3 years.
That's correct.
So if that was your understanding, is there anything additional that you're looking for, or if your organization's comfortable with that level of funding, then it's in already. So.
Oh, okay. We're comfortable with that for sure. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're done. I guess that's it. You're done. Thank you very much. Very, very effective. Very effective. Councillor Rice, you had a question.
So if we don't flag it, if they walk away and it's not flagged, it's in, it's good, they can relax?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks very much. So I wonder if the Center for Creative Arts would be ready to come forward. Oh, okay. Sorry, Candace. I see that our IT support is here. Cyril, do you want to just see if we can get the library's presentation set up there? Now that TSR has given us all this extra time, they didn't use anywhere near their 5 minutes, right? So. Okay. Okay, it looks like we're set. Yeah. Okay, so David, do you want to just make sure that that's going to flip up onto the big screen? There it is. Okay, so there we go. Sorry about that little technical adjustment. Now we've got the folks in the room that we needed to, and
All right, Mayor Gibbon, city councilors, members of the administrative team. My name is Gary Wood. I'm chairperson of the Board of Trustees for the Grand Prairie Public Library. As many of you are no doubt aware, the popularity of the library has increased significantly over the last 3 years, going from some 80,000 visits to over 270,000 visits. In conjunction with that, we've seen an increase in library memberships. The collection size has had to increase in order to satisfy our patrons. Program attendance for those programs we put on for the public has seen a corresponding increase. Interlibrary loans, where we lend out our materials to other libraries, and we also bring in materials for our patrons from other facilities. And even circulation of materials, which we expect to reach over 500,000 items this year. All of this requires significant staff, resources, and planning. If we look at per capita funding comparison to other libraries and facilities similar and around our area, we can see that Grand Prairie has done a good job of servicing the community with the funds that we've had. From 2008 to 2010, when the new building was going to be constructed, the city of Grand Prairie realized there'd be an increase in demand and made some adjustments accordingly. In 2011, as part of a fiscal restraint, we were asked to continue to operate at our 2010 levels, which we did. Going forward, though, we need to have some increased resources to achieve some of the goals that we've aligned for ourselves. Over the past, we've done a strategic plan where we asked leaders of the community how they wanted the city to look in the future and how the library could help achieve that. We have that plan developed. We also undertook an organizational review. Whereas we've had increased staff, we wanted to make sure that we had the proper job descriptions, information, and compensation for that staff. So in the budget that we've proposed to you, although it shows some increases, we recognize that there has to be some restraint as well, and we have planned to transfer almost $250,000 from our reserves into our operating operations to maintain the level of service that the patrons of the Grand Prairie Public Library expect. As part of the budget and the HR review, we noticed that, for example, compensation in 6 out of 9 job classifications were below the median. If we want to fully implement our strategic plan, we need an additional $314,000. And of course, technology always requires constant updates, new equipment, training. These items aren't even funded in the requests that we've made to you. But we feel strongly that in order to maintain the level of service that we've done so far, that the request we've asked for is reasonable. Further, completion of the library expansion space is a capital request that we're making in this budget cycle. It's needed for increased programming requests. We want to have a multi-use facility for arts and other organizations. And this would be a shared expense with the city, other government grants, and of course, library donations. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Okay, an opportunity for questions for the delegation first. Mr. Wood, if I could, just so that we can clarify exactly what the ask is above and beyond what the 2011 recommendation was. Council has a sheet in front of us with a number of these on them, and it shows that the current operating is just over $1.4 million.
Correct?
And the request for 2012 was 4.89093. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And so that difference is, you know,
About
90,000.
Yes.
Numbers. Okay.
Yep.
And then in the next year, it's about 150,000.
Right, an additional 60,000 from the previous level,
90.
and then about $58,000 in the third year.
Okay. 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 So there's an understanding of the request. Councillor Rice.
Okay, I'm, obviously, then I've misread this sheet. Is this sheet not what we have agreed to? No.
So just for clarity for council, we have just so everybody else sees, we have a sheet like this that has a number of the requests that came forward. And the community organizations, the line we should be looking at for what's in the budget is the current 2011.
Okay.
And so you can see when we go down to Grand Prairie Public Library, they're at $1,401,208.
So that would go all the way across the
That
3
goes all the
years.
way across.
Okay,
So that's why I was
thank you.
asking for clarity. So in the first year, it's an additional approximately 90,000. In the second year, it's approximately an
Yeah.
additional 150,000 over what's recommended for that year. Does that provide clarity? Okay.
I will flag this.
Okay. Okay, so Councillor Rice flags the, and Councillor Rice, there was 2 portions, I guess, of the request. There was capital and operating. So there's the operating dollars. There was the $200,000 capital. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So were you flagging either of those,
No,
or just
the operational.
operation? Okay. So Councillor Rice flags the operation. Are there any other questions or discussion, Councillor O'Toole?
Thank you much, Mayor Given. Could you explain to me what the $200,000 would exactly do to the library in the renovations?
I'll let Pam,
What extra services it would create?
Right now, we have programming space that we rent out, the Rotary Community Room, and we also have the story rooms that are used in our regular programs. When we moved to the new library, we hired a teen librarian that had been identified in previous plans that we needed somebody to work with the youth of today. So what's happening is there's a lot of demand for the Rotary Training Community Room for programming and also for our story room. So what the new $200,000 renovation would accomplish is a project room, a room that we could have activities with. We look forward to when the gallery's completed to have shared programming there. Also, we'll be looking at additional staff space and also another room that we'd rent out. This community is quite short of affordable rooms, and our Rotary Community Room is proving to be very popular. So it would be served for our own programs to serve the citizens of Grand Prairie. It would also be a rental room as well.
Okay. Just to follow up, so we would be one of a number of possible money requests that you would be making for grants, or have the grants already?
Yes, we go for the CFAP, and we would do fundraising as well for the to achieve this.
Okay, I'd like to flag this if I could, please.
Okay, so Councillor O'Toole flags the capital item as well for further discussion for tomorrow. Any other, so both items have been flagged for discussion tomorrow. Any further questions or discussion from council members? Seeing none, and thanks very much for your presentation. Appreciate you sticking around through one false start.
It worked, yay!
Thank you. So then our next was the Center for Creative Arts. I see Ms. Hook there. Candace, welcome. Go ahead, guys.
Okay. My name is Candace Hook. I'm the Executive Director here at the Center for Creative Arts. Thank you very much for providing me the opportunity to speak with you today. And I'd like to start by just introducing you a little bit to what we do at the Center. We're a community arts center, so the programming that we offer is very locally driven. We have classes for all ages and skill levels in a variety of different artistic mediums. And we also have a lot of specialized studios. Our studios are completely unique to Grand Prairie in that we offer specialized equipment for mediums such as pottery and glass and jewelry. Since the renovation and our move back to the old courthouse building, for the first time we're operating out of a building that's been designed to be an art center. And this means we're allowed to offer a safe experience for all. We have proper ventilation and proper equipment so that we can encourage safe practices in the arts. We also, over the last few years, have started providing increased exhibition opportunities for artists. We have 12 exhibits in our new gallery space every year, and those exhibits exclusively feature local artists. We've found that with changes in the Prairie Art Gallery and the type of exhibits that they're bringing into the community, as wonderful as it is to have these world-class exhibits, that really left a void. There was nowhere left for our local artists to exhibit their work regularly. And the demand for that has been so great that we're actually booking 2 years ahead right now and are working on developing a second smaller gallery space in our building so that we can meet the express demand there. A big part of what we do is taking part in cultural events, not just in the center, but throughout the city. We always participate in things like the Street Performers Festival and Canada Day. We're often down at the farmers market doing crafts with kids. We make sure that we are offering a wide range of free, family-friendly, accessible programming throughout the city. Community cultural enrichment is something that we take very seriously. We have a program called the Healing Arts Program, or HAPPY for short, and we work with a variety of community members that face barriers that would normally keep them from creating. Groups such as Canadian Mental Health and ADAC and the John Howard Society send clients to us so that they can experience some positive artistic enrichment. We also have been a major part in a couple recent mural initiatives throughout the city. And the last couple of years, we've been really pivotal in organizing Alberta Arts Days events in Grand Prairie. This is something that 2 years in a row we've managed to bring in provincial funding to our city and have worked with the other cultural organizations. And I believe that the reputation of Alberta Arts Days really stands for itself. It's been very, very well received in our city. These are the same things, for the most part, that we've been doing all along, but over the last few years, we've been doing them very well. We've increased the number of programs that were offered, and we're really expanding on every aspect of our business. We no longer operate a daycare out of the center, nor do we operate or lease spaces to private businesses as we have in past for revenue generating. What we've done is we've really funneled all of our focus into our mandate, and we're trying to make sure that we are always focusing on what we're supposed to be doing and delivering those quality art services. We have expanded the amount of programs we offer, and it's really true that if you build it, they will come. In 2009, we had approximately 2,500 people take part in our programming. By 2010, this number was up to over 3,000, and for 2011, we're projecting it's going to be over 6,000. So that represents a 50% increase in just 1 year. And with our increased visibility in the community, and I believe we're building a really strong reputation for having quality programming, there's no reason to expect that this number is not going to continue to increase in the future. Now, additionally, these numbers only take into account the center's own programming. But like many of the other groups here, we do loan our spaces out to other organizations. A lot of cultural organizations in Grand Prairie do not have a home base, and so groups such as the Grand Prairie Guild of Artists, the Grand Prairie Figure Drawing Club, and the Grand Prairie Photography Club, Artists North, all utilize our center and meet there on either a weekly or monthly basis. And that results in approximately an additional 1,500 individuals utilizing our space every year. Now, these increased services that we've been offering over the last few years definitely do come at an increased expense. In response to expressed community demand, we've extended our evening and weekend hours to make our building more accessible for Grand Prairie's busy families. Also, major initiatives such as Alberta Arts Days place a huge strain on our staff. Our labor costs over this past year are up approximately 10%. Additionally, the center has seen an astronomical increase to our facility operational costs with the move back to our renovated facility. During the over 2 years that we were under renovation, we shuffled through a variety of different temporary facilities. And during that time, the city graciously took over a lot of our facility costs, paying for our utilities and our insurance. And that was greatly appreciated and very much needed during that time. But the adjustment to taking full responsibility for our facility costs has been a big one, especially in light of the changes in our operations. We have altered our business practices to better focus on our mandate, and like I said, eliminated some of those revenue generating sources that just didn't fit within what we should be focusing on. And in response to that, we're evolving other areas of our business that have revenue generating potential but fit better within our mandate, such as art sales and art supply sales, and renting out our unused spaces at an hourly rate to artists and other groups. But like any other business, if you're making changes, it takes time to develop those changes. And while we've seen definite gains in the revenue we're generating from that, it's just not quite yet enough to offset the loss of revenue we got from other means. In 2011, the center is projecting a $30,000 operational loss, and this will be covered by our meager reserves. But to continue to offer this higher level of services and programs that's been so well received and is now very much expected, I believe, by residents, we need to receive funding that can sustain our current operations. We just can't take a loss like this every year. We do not expect the increase that we need to come solely from the city. We have this year developed a really extensive corporate sponsorship package that we're going to be launching in the new year, hopefully to increase the amount of private sector revenue that we are taking in. And we also really actively pursue provincial funds. The modest increase to our funding that we're requesting, which is $14,000 more than we received in 2011, just really represents just a part of our whole plan for financial stability and the ability to continue to offer exceptional programs. An investment in the Centre for Creative Arts really represents a very good value for municipal taxpayers, because we have a proven track record of bringing in provincial funding to our city through obtaining annual operating grants from the Alberta Foundation for the Art and capitalizing on provincial funding opportunities such as casinos and the STEP program, And bringing in provincial money for special projects, we managed to secure a $500,000 MCFP grant for our building renovation. We bring in provincial funding every year for Alberta Arts Days, and we'll continue to go after those opportunities and bring them money into our community. Our organization is very well revered by Alberta culture and community spirit, and it's been highlighted provincially many times as a result of our exceptional programs. And we believe that we provide opportunity for our local cultural identity to shine under the provincial spotlight. And this is just an immeasurable value to the reputation of our community as a cultural frontrunner. And that really is a reputation that Grande Prairie is starting to develop, and one that I'm very proud when I meet with people from other cultural organizations across the province and say that I'm from Grande Prairie, because there's a lot of buzz about what's going on here. It's really phenomenal. With your support, we can continue to deliver these exceptional programs that our residents enjoy, deserve, and expect, and will continue to strive for excellence in our field and in the delivery of our services. Grande Prairie holds unlimited potential for growth in arts and culture, but to continue to enrich our local culture, we must receive support from the City of Grande Prairie.
Okay, thanks very much, Ms. Hook. So any questions, discussion, comments from council? I see Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gibbon. In your budget, what is the total that you would have listed under salary? And
Approximately $150,000 a year, and that represents 2 full-time staff members and 7 part-time staff members.
okay, those were going to be my follow-up questions. And then what's your total budget?
Approximately $350,000 a year.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
If no one else has anything else, I'd like to flag this item.
Okay, we can certainly flag the item. There's somebody else in the queue, so we'll consider the item flagged and see Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. The question I have, Candace, is about the daycare. It was shut down. And, are you looking at different options of maybe somebody bringing in a daycare and renting a room? It's off topic, but I think more daycares in the city are.
You know, and I agree. I'm a mother, and I know that daycare is really hard in Grande Prairie. But when it comes down to it, it's just really not our area of expertise. And with the expansion to our programming, we really are using every room in our building every night of the week. Okay. And if we were to take a large space and commit it to something outside of our mandate, that's going to mean decreasing the amount of programs that we're offering.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Crokin?
Thanks, Mayor Gibbon. Candace, lovely flooring up there when we was up there doing a little painting, but can you tell me if you have the amount, how many visits or how many occasions or how many people would you say would go through the creative arts in a year?
This year, between our own programming and the other user groups, we'll have about 8,000 people that come through the Centre for Creative Arts.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much. Doesn't look like there's any further questions. This item has been flagged for a discussion tomorrow, so we'll make a funding decision tomorrow. And as I've said with the others. Yeah, thank you. Oh, sorry, Councillor Rice.
Your Worship, I think no matter how fascinating the presentation, I'm going to urge you to cut them off after 6 minutes, because it's not fair to the other people who aren't going to be heard if they run over.
No, certainly keeping an eye on that, and we'll make sure that everybody has the opportunity. I'd also remind council members that if an item has been flagged, actually that's one thing that I'll do is as soon as somebody flags an item, then we won't have any further sort of questions on it. Okay, so. Flag the item and send it over for discussion debate tomorrow. Okay, so we'll ask our next group to come forward, and that is the HIV North, I believe, was the next one that we had listed. Somebody from HIV North, if you'd like to come forward and just identify yourself to council. And it looks like there's a handout going around. Is that correct? Please join us and welcome.
Oops.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us come. My name is Brenda M. Covey. I'm the Executive Director of HIV North Society. And with me today, I have Corny Meyer, who is the Treasurer of Gallup, and also Brenda Miller, who is our Board Treasurer for HIV North Society. We would like you to consider our appeal for the project engagement that we initially presented for you. We feel strongly that this project would allow for more supports for the LGBT community, for the youth, and for their families. Historically, Grande Prairie has had a bit of a lack of infrastructure for this particular demographic of community, and we're looking to increase that capability for them. Currently, Gallup only has coffee time and special events, and that's once a week that it's offered, and it's in the evening, which means for some restrictions for some people to be able to attend. HIV North has a partnership with Gallup. Gallup is actually located in our facility. They rent a space within our offices. We answer their phone for them and have done since we've moved into this new facility in July. What we've noticed is that since we've started answering the phone on a regular basis, we are getting quite a few more phone calls and quite a few more requests, both from individuals who are just newly identifying their sexuality and trying to get some information and supports, and from schools and counselors looking for supports as well for individuals. We've also noticed that we've seen an increase in the amount of youth in our community that are moving out of the Grand Prairie community because of the lack of supports that are being offered for them, particularly for those youth who identify as GLBT community. Our initial request had been for a full-time position over the 3 years, and we would consider at this time a reduction in that, knowing that there is lots of requests out there and we don't want to take something that is going to make somebody else not have enough. And so we would consider any amount that would allow us to at least have a part-time person to provide some supports for individuals.
Okay. Thanks. So just to clarify on that, for council members, we have this sheet from the other day that had ones that were come through committee in FCSS originally. I believe that's the one that has the HIV Norris project engagement. And so the numbers that we had there, 2012, 44,838, 2013, 49,838, 2014, 49,838. So just so that everybody's on the same page. And so that was your original request for full time?
And it was basically just for a staff person.
Okay. Okay. So that's a presentation from the organization. An opportunity for questions or discussion from council. Seeing Councillor Wong, or Councillor Radburn, excuse me.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Good afternoon. Could you tell us, you're asking the city to fund this totally? You're not looking for other partners to fund this project?
At this point, we will be putting in for other funding. We've put in requests for Cash for Camping. We will be doing another request for the Community Spirit, but at that time when we wrote this, no, there hadn't been any put in. We definitely will be.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Monroe.
Thanks, Mayor Given. Sorry, earlier in your presentation, are you still looking for the full funding amount of the $45,000 to $50,000
No.
Each year? Just half the amount?
We would take half or even a quarter, anything so that, because we understand that there's lots of requests on the table, and so we would take just anything that would allow us to at least have somebody there to provide some supports part-time.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Gustafson.
Thanks, Mayor Given. So how many people in your society, how many patrons, or how many people, I guess you call them?
Members of Gallup.
Sure, yeah.
Our
Thank you.
Gallup Gay and Lesbian Association of the Peace. We have a little over 100 members that are signed up through our website and our emails. We have about 30 that are willing to come out on a coffee night, and special events we can have up to 50. But it's very difficult. Grand Prairie does not have a gay bar or a gay establishment where people can go and meet. And for the youth, there is no place at all. There is no Gay Straight Alliance within the high school. Our evening meetings are not accessible to young people in high school. And without a staff person, we did have a staff person up until 2008. And since then, we have noticed that without somebody there to answer the phone during the daytime, they're just lost, and they can't connect.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thanks very much. So I'd be looking to see if there's a council member that's going to make a referral, and if not, then we'd be looking to move on. Okay. I don't see anybody ringing in at this time, so we're going to move on to our next community organization. Thanks very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And our next organization was the Regional EMS Foundation. Yeah, welcome.
I have a chip, so I will attempt to get it going. Chips, yeah, not potato chips. I want to open it. Your IT guy here? He left? Okay. You're
Mr. Anderson, wow.
There we go. Okay, I'm here.
This could be dangerous.
Here. Yeah, I want to open this.
No, it's open, right? It's PowerPoint?
Yeah. And I just want to run it. And I want to run it.
Our IT guy was watching from upstairs. Power of webcasting.
I just want to run it. View, right?
Okay, and so while you're set up there, once you get going, we'll remind you that you have about 5 minutes, so hopefully you don't have...
Oh, it won't just play? I've got it set up to play. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Hi. I'll try and top TSR, but I'm not sure. I just seen them sit down and leave. Hi. Evaluating and educating professionals involved in occupations where time-dependent, life-saving decisions are made is extremely challenging. The airline industry, and more recently professional drivers, have utilized simulators to immerse staff in worst-case scenarios. Simulators allow the learner to practice in real time, real-life situations without compromising client, public, and operator safety. Thank you for allowing me to talk to you today about the Human Patient Training Simulation Unit for Alberta Health Services EMS North Zone. This $317,000 mobile training unit is being fundraised by the Regional EMS Foundation, a registered Canadian charity that secures funds for EMS programs and projects. The new training unit will be constructed of a recycled ambulance box remounted onto an International 4300 truck chassis with a Mach 7 diesel. The unit allows for audio-visual links between the examiners and the practitioners, as well as real-life scenario experiences. The format will be based on simulation units that are being built and currently used in Calgary EMS. The simulation doll inside the simulation unit is the SimMan 3G. The wireless doll is capable of scenarios and patient presentations far beyond the current simulation we are using. EMS educators will be able to replicate injuries and illnesses in a variety of formats and environments, both with practitioners and other allied agencies. The goal is to provide education over a large geographical area. EMS educators will be able to drive the training unit to the location to deliver the training needs. The Human Patient Simulation Training Unit will be accessed by other allied agencies, such as rural hospitals, medical co-responders, and volunteer fire departments. The Regional EMS Foundation is requesting $30,000 from the City of Grand Prairie to build the simulation unit. Thank you in advance for your consideration.
Thanks very much, Ms. Koskoff, for the presentation. Any questions or discussion? Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Joanne, I seen RCMP and firemen up there. This would help train a lot of the protective service as well to be better coming to scenes of accidents and stuff. This would be open to a lot of protective service?
That's right. So the training unit, instead of doing MCR training with our fire departments and our medical co-responders, where we're usually sitting in a classroom and we're giving them a scenario with a mannequin laying on a table, we actually bring them into our office, which is the back of the ambulance, and we practice the scenario with them, with the mannequin in the back of the ambulance. And the tester is not sitting in the back of the ambulance with them. They're in the front of the compartment running the scenario, and whatever the mannequin does for the patient illness or injury, it's replicated. So it gives them a chance to be in the back of an ambulance helping EMS on an emergency call, and it's not their first time in the back of the ambulance. They can practice where the equipment is in the cupboards, where to sit, and what real life would look like.
One more question. Thank you, Mayor Given. And this is going to be a region of so many areas, 7, 10 involved. I want to flag it.
Okay, so Councillor McLean flags the item, and were there any further questions of information for the delegation? Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. I just want to know what the total project cost and other potential funding sources.
So the total project to build the simulation unit is about $317,000 at this point in time, give or take. A lot of the equipment that's going to go into the simulation unit is going to be provided by Alberta Health Services, and if we certainly can get the truck chassis donated to us instead of having to buy it, that's going to save us some costs as well. We've been to many funding sources. We've applied for multiple applications online to the oil and gas sector. And we've made presentations to about 5 different municipalities at this point asking for funding. There's 23 EMS stations within the Northwest District, so this unit would be used on a regional basis and being able to travel around.
Okay, and then in terms of the human patient simulator, I know STARS has ones that's similar. Would you be able to get access to train on their unit?
Yeah. And that's a good question. So the STARS, and I'm not an EMS educator, but the STARS training unit is in a motorhome. And so the stretcher is mounted in the middle of the motorhome, and so the practitioners go into it and practice the scenario. We want to be able to bring our paramedics and our medical co-responders to come into the back of a real working ambulance and run with the scenarios, because that's what real life is about, and that's what it looks like. So it's delivered in a different medium than the STARS bus. But we certainly, our EMS educators certainly have access to that. It doesn't really help our paramedics, because that's not the environment that they work in.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, so this item's been flagged for discussion for tomorrow, so
Great.
thanks very much for your presentation.
Thanks.
Thank you. Request from Councillor O'Toole Councillor O'Toole, did you just want to ring in? Sure, Councillor O'Toole?
Yes, I was wondering if we could just bring up HIV North and just discuss that. Flag it, please.
You want to flag that item on further consideration? Okay, thank you. So we'll flag the HIV North request for discussion tomorrow as well. Okay, so our next organization was the Rising Above Ministry. Is there somebody here from Rising Above? Welcome, and introduce yourself to council.
My name is Mel Sigelko. I am the director for Rising Above Ministry here in Grand Prairie. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to appeal from the FCSS allocations. And so Mayor Gibbon, the councillors, and the committee members, first of all, let me say thank you for taking a risk on Rising Above 4 years ago and funding this new initiative. Since that initial investment from the city, we have continued to receive operating funds, first through GP Chase under the Housing and Employment Initiative in the city, and now more recently with Housing First dollars administered through CAB-H. Without this ongoing support, Rising Above would not be able to help the dozens of men and women who have benefited from the housing, the supports, and structures that we offer. Part of that original proposal in 2007 was to have an employment preparation component for our participants. That piece of that proposal was not funded, and we did not move forward with it. And so we began to put our structures and supports in place that presently define what Rising Above is, and we've been operating with that for the last 4 years. And we've seen people move forward. The difficulty has been in them securing employment, and that's often been a barrier that's held them back and kept them kind of dependent upon the system on an ongoing basis. It's part of our philosophy and core values that we want to see our participants become self-sustaining, and not be dependent on the system any longer. The last few years, our board has been looking at ways to help our participants overcome that employment barrier. So Second Chance Furniture is Rising Above's response to that situation. This social enterprise allows our participants to invest themselves in a meaningful activity, gain the skills necessary for holding down a job, and earn a character reference based on their present situation. Without this support and opportunity, our participants generally would fit the hard-to-employ category, and their resumes do not get the attention of the employers when they go looking for jobs. So our participants that are currently working in the store, for the most part, are very excited about the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to get used to the structures and demands of employment. We have seen them take pride and ownership in the work they do. Our participants are taking steps to break free from the cycles of defeat and have this opportunity to add dignity and value to their lives. It is a very meaningful byproduct of Second Chance Furniture. The store has been operating now for 2.5 months and is earning a reputation in the community for being a place to get gently used furniture has been cleaned and restored at very affordable prices. The $70,000 that we needed to get the store up and running has been raised within the community from individual donors and business partners. This venture does not fit the Housing First mandate, which is focused obviously on housing. We don't just want to see people housed and then continue reliance on the system to stay housed. We want to see them housed and ensure they have the tools to be self-sustaining in a way that will restore their dignity. Second Chance Furniture will help achieve that outcome. So we're asking today for the city's financial help in making sure Second Chance continues to help people become self-sustaining. And even a portion of what was requested and originally in our proposal would be greatly appreciated and would help sustain this unique and important program. Respectfully submitted.
Thanks very much, Mr. Sigel. So just to confirm what the original request was,
yes.
I've got $145,800 in 2012, $141,400 in 2013, and $137,000 in 2014. That was the original request.
That's correct.
Okay, just so everybody's on the same page. Any questions for the delegation? I'll ask again if there's any questions for the delegation from council. And it doesn't look like there are any of that at this time. Thanks very much for the presentation. Okay, so we'll move to our next organization, the John Howard Society. Is there somebody here from John Howard? Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
If you'd like to introduce yourselves and take it away.
Wendy Gregg, I'm the chair of the John Howard Society Board.
And I'm Penny Mickenach, I'm the executive director of the John Howard Society.
So,
go ahead.
Mayor Given, council, city representatives, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to meet with you today. I think most people in this community are familiar with the John Howard Society and its goal to use prevention to keep people out of harm's way or getting in the way of the legal system. And a great big piece of that is prevention, particularly with our youth. You've been handed a handout that talks about the Tabano Center. 12 years ago, this started as the reintegration program, working with the schools, with young people who were having difficulty staying within the school system. The last 4 years, it's been a much more freestanding organization, working because the school system is offering the kind of outreach education programs. The Tabano Center is dealing with those children or those youth who aren't even able to fit within that system. So these are people who are primarily out of the school system and needing to develop certain skills and strengths and abilities and to find their own strengths and abilities. And that's what the Tabano Center is about. Dealing with 75, 80, 85 kids a year. The funding that was requested this year was somewhat over $50,000. I brought myself a little cheat sheet because I don't do numbers very well. It's sort of pictorial here because I'm a little challenged on these things, and I was having trouble understanding what the problem was. Over the years, the last number of years, there's been 2 sets of money coming from the city into the John Howard Society that support the Tabano program. One piece was called Client Services, and the other was called the Tabano Center, or Tabano Program. What happened this year is the funding that was the application that was presented incorporated a request for that $50,000+. But it was all under the name of the Tabano Center because it didn't seem to make sense anymore to do 2 applications for what's essentially one piece of money. Because this client services money had been used in the Tabano program for a number of years with the understanding and permission of the system that controls that. So this year when the application came in for $50,000, it looked like a pretty big increase because what used to be called Tabano was only $36,000 previously. Okay, so what's happened is the funding formulas that have been applied were applied only to this piece of money. So what happened is that piece of money went away, and the cutback came off, which is not a very big piece of that, but it's left us that much short of the funding that's needed for the Tabano program. Okay? So that's, I think, basically, it's more of a, I think, a clerical problem in communication that we didn't make ourselves really clear that this application that went in was to include both those pieces of funding. So I'm not sure if there was other, things at work there that caused that to happen, but certainly we'd like to offer any offer to answer questions you have about the Tabano program and how it operates. And I'd like to also bring up the fact that the funding that we're asking for really only funds a piece of this program. The whole program is worth about $112,000. We don't have funding for that bottom section on this sheet, okay? That's still in the dream stage, to take these young people from where they are and turn them into entrepreneurs and small business people in this community. So we've got a long ways to go. We're asking you to help us get back to here, if you can do that for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Rice?
Okay, just to clarify, what you are asking for is an additional $16,814. Do I read that right?
I'll trust your numbers, Helen. It sounds exactly right.
Okay.
Sorry, I think, so we have a sheet from the FCSS, and it was listed as client services 13,483.
Where do you see that?
Is that with the numbers
It's
on
on,
here?
it's on this
Okay.
sheet, Councillor
Okay.
Rice, this longer one
Okay.
from, that we received yesterday. And I think that was the one that's unfunded in it going
Okay.
forward,
That sounds right.
so.
All right. I don't have those numbers all in detail.
Okay.
Okay.
Councillor Monroe?
Thanks, Mayor Given. So even if the funding is, the client services funding is restored, that still won't take care of this bottom section, the social enterprise and entrepreneurship, sales mentorship and sponsorship, and sales scholarship, is that correct?
That's correct.
That's
So
correct.
that would be funding that you're not looking for at this point?
Well, our initial application, we did include that. At this point, we have met with FCSS and we understand that, the challenges that you're under and trying to sort of maintain. So at this point to the city, we're saying if we could maintain close to what we had last year, that would be wonderful. We will continue to look to other sources to fund the rest of the program, the expansion.
Thank you. Mayor Given, I'll flag this item for further discussion.
Okay, thanks very much. So that item's flagged then, the John Howard Society request. Councillor Rice?
Just one very quick, what's Tabano stand for?
Tabano is a African word which symbolizes strength. And one of our principles, the main principle of Tabano, is the strength-based learning center, really building on youth assets and strengths.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much, ladies. So
Thank
the
you.
item will be discussed tomorrow for funding.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we look to our next organization. I believe the SPCA was the next on our list. If you'd like to come forward and introduce yourselves to council and our city administration team, welcome.
Thank you. So, good morning, or afternoon. My name is Jocelyn Innes, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors for the SPCA. I'm pleased to introduce Lorene Harcourt. She's our new Executive Director, and she'll work on our slides as I talk. We had sent a delegation to make a presentation to you in August. Today we're here to make a second request to the city for some support for us via Capital Building Fund and ongoing operational support. As most of you are probably aware, the SPCA is a not-for-profit, member-supported organization dedicated to promoting respect, humane treatment, and compassion toward animals. Among other items, the SPCA cares for abandoned, abused, and stray animals. We also facilitate...
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt if I could. So we're going across a couple different sheets, and I don't see the SPCA request. So just so that everybody understands exactly what it is that you're asking for, if maybe you could lead with that part.
Sure. Well, from the delegation in August, my understanding is that we don't comply with the requirements to apply for your regular community funding grant program. So instead, we made two pleas in August. The first was a request for licensing, which I'll get to in a second, and the second was a mill rate request to increase the tax levy. So
what's the total value? Do you have the total value of what's the cash that you're asking for in each of the 3 years?
We are, instead of a grant, though, we're asking that the city increase the pet licensing and the pet fines so that next year we get $25,000 from the city. And we were hoping to get $50,000 a year for the next 3 years.
Okay, so just so for clarity, so you're asking for $50,000 per year for the next 3 years in
That's
funding
correct.
above and beyond whatever the city's contract is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, okay, so it's $50,000 per year for the next 3 years? Yes? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, please continue.
Okay. So the SPCA is a not-for-profit, member-supported organization dedicated to promoting respect, humane treatment, and compassion toward animals. We care for abandoned, abused, and stray animals and facilitate as many animal adoptions as possible. We also run the pound for the city and the county via a private contract. We encourage education in the community via school visits. We have 2 programs we give to schools, the humane education and the bite-free programs. We do summer camps all summer, and we have a safe haven program for persons fleeing domestic abuse. Since our inception in 1981, we've seen a dramatic increase in services that comes with the population increases in Grand Prairie from 40,000 in 1994 to 50,000 in 2007. The increase in population means an increase in pets and an increase in demand for our services. Today, we believe there are approximately 11,000 dogs and cats in the GP area. And due to the increased demand for our services over time, we have expanded. We've built a new building. We just completed construction of our new facility, and it was officially opened in this spring. We now need to find ongoing support to sustain our growing operations and a building fund started so that we may ensure that we may deal with future renovations and ongoing maintenance costs. When we came here in August, we came with a 2-part proposal for funding, sort of some unique ways that we thought potentially the city could help fund us. The first option was our pet licensing. In 2010, the city licensed 600 cats approximately and 2,600 dogs. From our calculations, the licensing that is done in Grand Prairie is only 29% of the pets that are held in Grand Prairie. In 2010, we looked at some numbers for our organization. We accepted 2,100 companion animals into the SPCA. We adopted out 1,000 pets and reunited 500 pets with their owners. What we want to do is, we think this represents an opportunity for the City of Grand Prairie in partnership with the SPCA to look at increasing the pet licenses sold and increasing the cost for the pet licenses and the animal-related fines in keeping with other municipalities. We're hoping that the resulting revenues can then be directed to the Grand Prairie SPCA Building Fund. Increasing compliance with the pet owners is key to reducing resident complaints and also ensuring the sustainability of animal care and control resources. With more than the 11,000 pets living within the city limits, we must continue to look at ways to ensure that the community needs can be met now and in the future. So we had a proposal, if you go back to the last slide, that dog licenses, $6 of each dog license would go directly to the SPCA, and $3 of each cat license would go directly to the SPCA. If we increased the fines, and in our proposal from August, we had each of the fines set out and what we would propose to increase them to. The fines would be increased by 22% overall, and that 22% would then be directed to the SPCA, resulting in $25,000 approximately going to the Grand Prairie SPCA a year to help us fund our building and fund ongoing operations. In the summer, we reviewed 2 models with you in our written documents. We reviewed Edmonton and Calgary and proposed to increase the pet licensing fees and fines to be comparative with those cities' fines and licensing. Both of those cities provide a proportion of their funds from the licenses and fines to the SPCA or the Humane Society located in their boundaries. So we're looking for something similar to that.
Just, if I can break in, the city manager pointed out some minutes from that meeting in August, and there was a motion that the committee direct administration to prepare an amendment to include a $3 per dog license levy to the animal control bylaw to fund an operating grant for the SPCA and bring back a report at a future committee meeting. So there was some action taken on that, and I wonder if administration can speak to where that is in the process. Mr. Walker?
I believe that is on the list to do and has not been got to yet, so it's certainly coming back to council at some point in this.
So if that did come back to council, would it have a budget impact?
We've not reflected any of that in the current budget system.
Okay, but it would be wouldn't be a net, it would be an in and out, is that correct?
It would be an in and out. If we change the bylaws as requested, then certainly the funding for that process is,
Okay. Okay, so that one, it looks like, is underway. A decision yet to be made by council and committee, but is in process. So maybe you want to speak to your second portion of your presentation.
Well, our second portion is sort of, we're opening it up to talk to you guys about other ways we can get funding. Our second proposal was a mill rate, and from the August meeting, that was something that wasn't open for discussion. And we're just wondering if we don't comply with the requirements for the community grant funding, how else we can work with the city to provide funds to the SPCA.
Okay, so at this point, so the city doesn't have any particular community grant. There are a number of different grants that are out there, but basically if you're asking for operating dollars to support it, you make your request here, and council chooses to do that. Now, this is all outside of the contract for service that the city pays towards
That's
SPCA.
correct, yeah.
Okay, so this is sort of your point to make your request, aside from the dog licensing portion, which is in the works and council will decide on, is to say, this is how much we'd like to see the city give us for operating. Council will either have an interest in that or not, and if they choose to flag it, then we discuss it tomorrow. So is there a specific amount that you're asking for aside from that licensing portion?
We'd be asking for the additional 25,000 to make up the 50,000 each year. So if it's increasing of $3 per fine, which was not the original suggestion, I suppose we'd be asking for the additional 25,000 a year for the next 3 years to make up the shortfall.
It's a total of 50,000
Yeah,
a year for the next 3.
Okay, so the request then is a total of 50,000 per year over the next 3 years, or alternately 25,000 a year based on this, and then we would see what happens with the licensing portion. So I think that provides the clarity. Does anybody on council need any additional information? No? Seeing Councillor Croker.
Thanks, Mayor Given. Also, we have a partner in the SPCA. Have they been approached for extra funds too?
We are going to approach the county with regards to additional funds for our ongoing.
We haven't left them out. This meeting just happened to take place first. So
Thank
you're
you.
the first one on the list.
Thank you.
We do apply for funding through a variety of sources. We have a grant writer in Edmonton that we apply for grants all across, and we also do all of our own, a lot of fundraising events and other things to assist with our ongoing operations.
Okay, so I think unless there are any other questions from council, then I'd look for a motion of referral, and if not, then we'd be ready to move on to the next group. I don't see any on council making a motion at this time, so we'll have the balance will come back. Administration is still working on the additional fee on the licensing that would be directed to SPCA for operations. So that's additional information that will come back to City Committee, and I'm sure you'll be notified in advance of that. Okay?
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, ladies. Thank you very much. Okay, so our next organization was the South Peace Regional Archives. Have some representatives here from the archives. Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Mary Nutting. I'm the archivist with South Peace Regional Archives, and with me is Gail Pretty. She's the treasurer of our board. It's hard to read this. Okay, thank you for the opportunity to present the archives and its budget to the council. Some of you are relatively new, and We've appreciated having one of those new councillors, Kevin O'Toole, as your representative on our board. So I'll briefly tell you who we are, what we do, and why the funding you provide to us is so critical to our success. So we're funded by 4 municipalities: City of Grand Prairie County, MD of Greenview, and Spirit River. And we're a member of the Archives Society of Alberta, which means that we follow national standards in archival practice, and our staff are all professionally trained and fully involved in the archives community. In fact, our newest member has been the Alberta representative to the Canadian Council of Archives for the last 2 years. So what do? We acquire, preserve, and make accessible records which document the history of the South Peace. This includes textual records, photographs, maps and blueprints, sound recordings, and films. The material comes to us from our municipal governments, families, organizations, and businesses. We care for the records of many organizations beside the municipalities that support us. For example, the Rotary Club of Grand Prairie, the Chamber of Commerce, the Catholic School District, HIV North, among many others. We have about 400 collections in the archives. When we process the records, we discard the extraneous material, arrange the records in order, describe them, and make them available to their parent organization as well as to the public. This means that these organizations do not have large amounts of dead records clogging up valuable space. It also means they can find historical documents quickly when they need them. We have about 28,000 photographs, but a huge project this year is processing the Panda camera collection, and that has an estimated 50,000 community photographs from the City of Grand Prairie. So why is your funding so critical? Since we were established in 2000, we have received more than 750 donations of historical material. We're the only public archives in the South Peace, and without an archives, most of the material would not be preserved. And it certainly wouldn't be in a central place where it's accessible to everyone. In 2010, we had over 6,000 contacts with people who either came into the archives, phoned, emailed, attended our presentations or events, or accessed our webpage. We're a not-for-profit. Oh, how did that happen? Oh well, I clicked twice. So anyways, we're a not-for-profit society. We're assisted by about 20 volunteers, including a board of directors who gives us invaluable expertise. We have also done several projects and publications related to the history of Grand Prairie. So the city, how are we funded? This is the graph for that. The city and county established the archives in 2000, and the cost is now shared between 4 municipalities. So these graphs show that since 2000, the city's share of the total costs have decreased from 70% to 40%. The budget that you have in front of you shows the specific amounts paid by each partner. So, as I mentioned, did I mention that we are asking for a 3.5% increase each year for the next 3 years? In dollar amounts, that's about $2,000 more for each successive year. In total, it's about $12,000 over the 3 years. Because of the funding agreement with other municipalities, it will mean an actual increase in our budget of about $4,500 a year. We're very conscious that we need to be accountable, so we've added revenue. Like if you look at the budget that you have there, we've added revenue where we could by charging admission for events that were formerly free. We've held the line where we could. Some of the costs, such as utilities and insurance, we can't control, and there are some expenses that we need to make, again, to be accountable. First of all, we have to do a feasibility and marketing study, and the goal there is increasing our income and our funding partners, and eventually a new facility. I do have a 3% cost of living increase for each year for staff salaries. We've got 2.2 full-time equivalent staff positions shared by 3 people. These staff have excellent qualifications. Our newest one has her master's degree in archival studies, and they work for wages that are only 80% of the provincial average for that occupation. I feel that we need to increase their wages to just retain the staff and the commitment which is so evident in the work that they do. We also have upcoming events, including the 100th anniversary of the city in 2014, The Archives has already agreed to archive all of the historical material which will be donated by your residents during that year and to make them available at no extra cost to the city for displays and publications. This anniversary is an exciting opportunity for both of our organizations, but it will take time and effort. I do want to thank you for your support for regional archives over the past 12 years. During that time, we've received 3 provincial awards and 2 local ones, and this is only possible because of your support. I know archives aren't cheap. They take specialized staff and specialized buildings. That's why it makes so much sense for the municipalities to work together on this. And it's really rewarding to have a large bank of historical resources which all of our citizens can donate to, and then it's available worldwide over the web.
Okay, thanks very much, Ms. Dunning. I see Councillor Rice.
I'll flag it, please.
Okay, so Councillor Rice has flagged this item. Question for information, Councillor Wong.
For information, could I get, or can you tell me if you're approaching all your, all the other municipalities for an increase?
Yes, we have a funding formula that was signed by all the other, and so whatever is agreed to at the City of Grand Prairie is also,
Triggers theirs.
yeah.
Okay, that's good, thanks.
Okay. Councillor Crowe.
Thanks, Mayor Given. And Mary, on your insurance, do we, the city, supply that insurance?
No, it comes from our own budget.
Okay, well, from your own budget, but
Yeah.
have you investigated getting insurance through our insurance people? Might be a savings there, that's all I was thinking.
It's, I'll check with that. Who would I check with? Like, who do I talk to?
Audrey.
Audrey?
Cherney.
Okay.
Yeah. So the city does that for a number of other community organizations.
Sure.
There's
Thank you.
option there.
Thank
Okay,
you
thanks,
very
Councillor Corbin. Okay, so this item's been flagged for discussion tomorrow. Ladies, thank you very much. We'll make our funding decision tomorrow. Thank you. So we're on to Prairie Art Gallery. And council, how are we doing? Everybody still doing okay? We're all right to go through? We have a number of community organizations that are still in line and we're a little bit behind. So my recommendation would be keep plowing on. Okay, so if we could have the representation from the Prairie Art Gallery come forward. Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
So if you could, just introduce your team and maybe give us a little bit of a start while you get set up with the PowerPoint. Nice mustache, by the way.
It's Movember. You can all donate online. Thank you, Mayor Given. I am hoping to find my slides. Members of Council and City Administration, I'd like to introduce the Chair of the Board of Directors of Prairie Art Gallery, Grant Berg, and the new part-time Deputy Director of the Prairie Art Gallery, Lori Bruff. And I will be brief. We know that the council is very familiar with the Prairie Art Gallery. The Prairie Art Gallery is the largest arts organization north of Edmonton in this province, and it is that size and provides that level of service thanks to the historic partnership between the city and the Prairie Art Gallery that was struck in 1985 that gave us our first permanent home. And for anyone who isn't aware, I'll give you a very brief history of the Prairie Art Gallery. We were incorporated in 1975. We are a registered charitable organization. We opened our first permanent facility in 1985 in the same building that's now being restored for that same purpose again now. We are designated by the federal government as a Category A collecting institution, which is sort of the highest designation that a museum can obtain in Canada, and that we began plans for expansion with you in 2003, and that in 2012, as you know, the expansion will be completed. We want to thank you for your recent support. As you know, for the last 4 years, we received an operating grant from you of $200,454 per year. In 3 of the last 4 years, we received $5,000 festival grants. We didn't apply for one last year because we were stretched beyond our resources to undertake a festival. And we also thank you for supplying the premises at the Montrose Cultural Centre as well as the security, utilities, maintenance for the premises. And as you know, a seat on our board of directors has always been reserved for a city councillor, and you have been our most steadfast partner in the expansion project for the last 7 years. And we say partner, it'll come to it in a later slide, but we feel we've been your steadfast partner in that project as well, and have delivered both dollars and value to the city. Last year, we instructed 1,500 students in the schools. That was down from a record high of maybe 3,000, and you can see some of the strains that we were under last year that allowed that to go down, but we are equipped for it to return to normal next year. 164,098 people viewed our traveling exhibitions throughout northwestern Alberta, and that includes some venues in Grand Prairie, like the QE2 Hospital, Grand Prairie Public Library, St. Joe's High School, and among others, but most of the venues that see those traveling exhibitions are outside of the city. Our website, just if you're interested, was visited almost 40,000 times last year. We had 2,808 volunteer hours donated by about 100 different people. And we project 25,000 visitors next year at minimum, based on the 18,000 that we received in 9 months when we were relatively fully operational in 2009. Now, I'm not ashamed to admit that last year we only had a little over 10,000 visits to our site, but many of our programs were off-site last year because we were away from the site ourselves. So, service to the city, we know that we preserve this region's cultural heritage in our permanent collection. Approximately 500 works created by artists from the city of Grand Prairie are currently being preserved forever. All of our exhibitions and family activities are offered free of charge. And our new hours, now that we're returning to the Montrose Centre as of Friday, is to match the library hours. So we're falling into line with the library's kind of services. And our tours, school programs, and programs for everyone are provided at nominal fees, as are the traveling exhibitions to venues around the city. So you know what the expansion project will do. It will more than double the exhibition space, double the education space, double the collection space, and double the total space that we've ever managed. And it will create, for the first time for us, a permanent children's gallery, barrier-free access for everyone, and fire suppression throughout the facility. Now, I will come back to this one if you like, but just to make a note that 58% of the expansion the expansion project funding was from non-municipal sources, and the $5.56 million was received by grants applied for by your staff, but with our support and assistance, and that might not have been received for different projects because our project fits so well into that funding program. All of the other money was obtained by the Prairie Art Gallery and has been rendered to the city. So as you can see, that we do contribute money back to the city in areas of joint interest. This is where our ongoing revenues come from. Now, that shows $624,000 available in cash last year. We spent over $1 million last year, and much of the rest of it was in one-time events. So we do apply for projects and from the federal government and from donors, and we do various. We can only make our budget work by continually bringing in new money that's not of an ongoing nature, but the ongoing money that we can actually rely on is about $624,000. Of that, the city provides $200,000 in cash, and you can see the quantification of your in-kind donations to us as well there. But again, we don't spend that, and we are grateful that you do. So our request is to increase our operating grant funding by a total of $59,546 each year over the next 3 years, for a total of $260,000 per year. The rationale is that we are increasing in size, so $9,546 of it will give us the same city operating grant per square foot as we had in 2007. We think that that's a very modest request to make, not taking any inflation into account, only taking into account the size of the increased square footage. The other $50,000 we are applying for based upon our participation in the city's cultural master planning project and the goals and deliverables that were assigned to us in the city master planning project, cultural master plan. It required that in 2012 and thereafter we create doesn't require, but it's suggested, it planned for, the idea that we would create a full-time curator position. We did a salary survey and found that the average for galleries our size in this part of Canada is about $54,000 a year for such a position. And we estimate that in having a full-time curator and also trying to fulfill the Cultural Master Plan's goal of establishing a clear and coherent artistic direction with similar quality for every exhibition would require us about another $20,000 per year into our exhibition budget to implement. So we think that the Cultural Master Plan would cost us $75,000 a year to implement, and we're asking you for $50,000 towards that goal. Thank you very much, and I hope there's time for some questions.
Okay, thanks very much, Robert. Any questions for the delegation? Councillor Crokin?
Thank you. I was really pleased to see everything was doubling up, but not your ask.
No.
I'd like to flag this item.
Okay, so Councillor Crokin has flagged the item. Any further questions for information? Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Two questions. One, can you tell me in layman's terms what a curator will do in terms of the service you provide?
Yes, sir.
And secondly, are you still pursuing operational support from regional partners, municipal partners?
Yes, sir. So thank you, Councillor Radburn. The part one, the curator's job, the derivation of the word curator comes from use and preserve, right? So the curator's job relating to all of the artifacts in the gallery and all the artifacts that we bring in is to decide what we're going to show and how we're going to show it safely. And an art curator would seek to make the most meaningful cultural experience for the residents by choosing exhibitions that are of the greatest interest, meaning, value, that kind of thing, to the community, and negotiate to bring them here, because it is very hard to the exhibition we're setting up now that you can come and see Friday night is almost $1 million worth of art, and we have to convince people that we can take care of it. So a full-time curator would be able to put, and that's my job currently, I'm director and curator, so a full-time curator would be able to give more attention to the programming of exhibitions, securing those exhibitions, providing a more professional planning process for it, possibly even lowering the costs of exhibitions as they might have greater expertise in the planning and coordination of these things, and just give it the attention it deserves. To seek federal operating funding, you need a very clear 3-year exhibition plan. And we have established that at various points in the past, but we have not currently got a 3-year exhibition plan because we're still working on the construction project, right? And I find that I don't have enough time, and the board has determined that I don't have enough time to really give us the programming. So to be the curator is sort of the editor-in-chief of the gallery. On the second point, the second point is, yes, we have asked the County of Grand Prairie for funding. Until recently, the largest amount they had ever given us in a year was $5,000 because of the way their arts and culture funding is organized. But just last month, we approached them for $65,000, which, if it were broken down on a per capita basis, would match the cash portion of the city grant that we're asking you for on a per capita basis. And they did refer that to their budget deliberations. So it's not a debt issue yet, and we've asked them for the same amount if you divide it by the population as we've asked you.
Thank you.
And we actually have had discussions internally that we will approach the MD of Greenview in the next few months for funding as well.
Super.
Okay, thanks very much. So the item has been flagged for a decision tomorrow, and thanks very much for your presentation.
Did we mention there's an opening Friday night?
I think we heard something.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
That's just across the street, right?
It is.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and let me explain my attire and Lori's is that we are hanging the exhibition after we leave here, so no offenses intended.
It's a good thing, right?
Yes.
Thanks very much for your presentation. So the next organization that was on our list was PARDS. So we have the delegation from PARDS come and join us at the table and introduce yourselves. Oh, there's just a little bit of reading material going around for council.
5 minutes, I'll get through it all. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we would ask you to be as concise as possible.
Absolutely.
And we'll ask council members, remind council members again to be as concise as possible in your questions.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to present our capital campaign project fund request to you. My name's Jennifer Douglas. I'm the Executive Director with PARDS. With me today is Amanda Graham. She is PARDS Capital Campaign Consultant. PARDS offers therapeutic riding programs for children and adults living with disabilities. Therapeutic riding sessions run in 3 10-week sessions throughout the year, from fall through spring. Each session has a registration fee of $200. However, the actual cost to provide these lessons is $565. It's not feasible for families of people with disabilities to pay that amount, so we have chosen to collect the $200 registration fee and fundraise for the remainder. If a rider is unable to pay for a registration fee, we also will waive part or all of the fee. It is our goal and our mandate with our mission to make sure that our services are accessible to every person that can benefit from them. And there are numerous benefits to the individuals that use our programs, and very huge variety of them. They range from self-esteem and self-awareness to building muscle tone, strength, coordination. So the programs that we offer really affect very many different parts of the community. Currently, we provide programming Monday through Thursday, starting at 9 in the morning and ending at 8 o'clock at night. We also partner with Camp Tamarack for 3 weeks in the summer and provide 3 more weeks of our own summer day camps. On weekends, we also provide some public riding lessons, so we are a 7-day-a-week facility currently. 68% of our riders are city residents, and we have a strong membership base of over 400, including riders, volunteers, and community supporters. PARDS relies heavily on the community to provide volunteer hours in support of our program. Many of our riders require up to 3 volunteers during each individual lesson. So the volunteer hours that we see on an annual basis range from 11,000 to 14,000, with about 200 volunteers providing that. 70% of our volunteer base resides in the city. This number does not include the occasional volunteers that come in on a casual basis, or the many volunteers that step up and help us out with fundraising initiatives, or the truly phenomenal support we receive through donations and sponsors, both individual and corporate. The programs we offer to the special needs members of the Grand Prairie community are truly important, beneficial. PARDS has been in operation for over 27 years in our community. We have been in operation for that long because there is a need. For the past 5 of those years, we've had a consistent wait list for our services. In order to accommodate that wait list, we've been forced to shorten each lesson, so we basically cut the riding time in half for each lesson, and we've also added more riders into each lesson. So currently we have over 100 riders in our 10-week session, where 4 years ago that number was 64. So although this has allowed us to serve more community members and helped us with our wait list, we do need to increase our capacity so that we are able to deliver the most effective and efficient and beneficial programming that we can. The new facility project will allow us to meet the programming needs of the community, as well as allow us to increase our user base by giving us the space to expand our programming, office space, and to develop a social enterprise model that will increase our internal streams of revenue. This increased expansion will allow us to be open to the general public and other user groups, for example, Gymkhana Club, Big Brothers and Sisters, other partnerships. We have introduced our equine facilitated wellness program, which targets youth at risk, and we partner right now with Big Brothers Sisters on that, and we also have a partnership with the Friendship Center Head Start program for their Head Start program. With the equine facilitated wellness program, we target those youth at risk, providing early intervention through numerous initiatives, including self-esteem building, anger management, social boundary development, relationship building, and assertiveness training. We are currently seeking to expand our programs through a $4 million capital project, which has moved forward over the past year with the completion of a capital campaign feasibility study. The summary of the findings is in your package and for your review when you are able. It does summarize interviews of 45 local community members and businesses. The findings were positive and very informative, allowing us to know exactly where to target our efforts and how best to use the funds and the assets that we have. Our new facility building fund includes funds raised through Tom Brown 1,000 Mile Ride, the Ken Sargent Pontiac Buick Golf Tournament, local community lottery partnerships, a $1 million commitment from the County of Grand Prairie, $100,000 from the province, and donor-directed funds donated by community individuals and groups. We are currently recruiting capital campaign volunteers, awaiting results on grants that have been currently applied for, and continue to research available funding opportunities, especially at the federal level. We are also seeking funds through a number of corporate grant programs and foundations. We're pursuing funding opportunities through the 3 Rotary clubs as well as Rotary International, other service clubs including the Lions and the Elks, and have identified many individuals, families, and businesses from whom we have been and will be requesting support. We are asking for the City of Grand Prairie to join with the county's support of the project by providing funds in the amount of $300,000 to be contributed over 3 years. The site's been cleared, surveyed, and initial dirt work started. The site plans as well as the building plans are complete and have been approved by the PARDS board. This is a shovel-ready project, and our target date of completion is 2013. We appreciate your time you've given us and welcome any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks very much. An opportunity for questions. Councilor Rice?
Okay, I'm confused. I have 2 things. One here that says you want 300,000 a year, and one here that says a little over 15 a year.
Sure. So, Councilor Rice, you're looking at FCSS funding, and that was funded for the Equine Facilitated Wellness Program. I believe
Right.
that was recommended.
This is the capital campaign.
Okay, so you're okay with those 15. So it's the
Thrilled. Yes, thank you so much.
So it's the 300,000 you're here for today.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a request from the organization for 300, so it's a total of $300,000.
100,000 each year for 3 years, yes.
Okay, so that provides some clarity. So look for any other questions from council or a movement to flag this item. And I'll look for council members, and I don't see any at this time, so thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank
you
you.
for sticking it out. Okay, our next organization was the Youth Emergency Shelter. Is there anybody here from the Emergency Shelter? There they are. We welcome you forward. Join us and introduce yourselves.
Right. Good afternoon. My name is Tanya. I'm the Executive Director for the Youth Emergency Shelter, and with me I have Sean Dirksen, who's our Board Chair, and Allison Pitcher, who's our Vice Chair. We are here today regarding our request for operational funding from the City of Grand Prairie municipal tax dollars. In 2011, the city provided $65,000 to municipal taxes, which was then topped up with specially approved funding through FCSS, which brought us up to $99,000. Historically, the shelter has relied on programming grants from FCSS and various other sources. As you're well aware, we have tightened up our mandate since reopen, and we're trying to stay very close to that. I'm pleased to report that we have stayed to that mandate and have had great successes with the youth who have accessed us because of that. I just want to share some of that success with you. On discharge, clients are asked to complete discharge evaluations, and when asked about their experiences with the shelter and with the staff, their common answers are that they felt safe, they felt supported, they felt encouraged, and they felt that they left a stronger person. Youth who accessed the shelter prior to the closure and re-accessed after reopening all indicated that they felt much safer within the new shelter. As you can see from the stats that I've just provided, our discharge placements have been primarily home, an alternate guardian, or foster care. So statistically, we're very proud of those. And in addition, our return rates have remained very low. So this is largely due to how we're working with these youth. They have 24-hour access to support staff who focus on healthy coping skills and finding more effective ways to deal with crisis. The more basic tools we can provide to these youth, the less likely they are to resort to unhealthy behaviors such as addiction, prostitution, etc. In addition, in the cases we know that home is the best option, mediation has been offered to families, so we can offer those same tools to them as well. These mediations that have been completed have been very successful in reducing risk of further family breakdown. The difficulty that we now face is by working strictly within our mandate, we have lost a primary funding stream as we are now ineligible for FCSS funding and are therefore requesting an increase of operational funding from the City of Grand Prairie municipal tax dollars. With the requested increase of the city, which is based on the total amount that we received last year with the special funding, this leaves us to raise about 25% of our budget, or about $110,000 a year. So this we look at as a manageable amount with 2 major fundraisers and with community donations. The shelter's in a good position right now to remain open and sustainable, and your support will certainly help us to stay that way. Ultimately, the increased funding will allow us to stay focused on the mandate as opposed to how we're keeping our doors open.
Okay, thanks very much, Shane. So just to clarify, the approved funding for shelter operations, which is non-FCSS, is $64,025 in each year, and so your request would see that up to a total of 110. Is that right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions, discussion, Councillor Crokin?
Thanks, Mary Given. Tell me, do you track, Tanya, where your clients come from? Like, I'm thinking specifically, are they coming from some out of town?
Primarily, they're within city. We do have a few that come from the region. We've had a few from High Prairie, Peace River, but primarily they're coming from within Grand Prairie or very close to.
Okay, because the county or AMD don't have a program like this.
No. So we do support we do have kids that will come in from, say, Beaver Lodge, Hythe. Yes.
That's what I was getting at. And the MD of Greenview, I'm just thinking of extra funding sources.
Yes.
So are there?
Yeah, and we do have.
Sorry, I'm going to cut in. So are there any? So fair enough question. Are there any council members that'd like to make a motion on this one way or another? We do need to. Sorry, I'm going to have to start to be a little bit of a stickler. Appreciate that you had the chance to make the presentation. Anybody that would look to flag this item for tomorrow? Councillor Gustafson.
Sure, I'll flag it, please.
Okay, thanks very much. So
Thank you.
Councillor Gustafson's flagged that for
Could
discussion.
I make
for tomorrow.
one other comment before we leave? First of all, thank you very much. And I guess the one point I wanted to state was just the fact that, as most of you are aware, the shelter struggled with funding. And the ironic thing is, we worked a lot with FCSS over the last year and a half, which moved us forward leaps and bounds with the province as far as our funding. The ironic thing is, with the mandate that we were able to establish working with FCSS in the province, we now don't qualify for FCSS funding. So it's helped us immensely, but it's meant that some funding has dropped off for us. So that's the position we're in.
Okay.
So thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for the presentation. Our next organization on our list was STARS. Do we have somebody here from STARS? Do you see somebody? Glenda, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mayor Given and council members. We really appreciate this opportunity. I'm Glenda Farndon, and I'm Major Gift Manager for STARS Grand Prairie Base.
I'm Greg Schmidt. I'm a flight nurse and base director for Grand Prairie Base.
So first, just wanted to kind of recap and try to put everything into a nutshell for you. STARS Society and STARS Foundation are both nonprofit charitable organizations. STARS is unique in its partnership of government, corporate, community, and individual supporters that are joining together to ensure that everyone has access to help in a critical situation. Many do not realize that as an Albertan, if you were ever to be flown by STARS, you would not receive a bill. So whether it's Grand Prairie residents who work in remote areas, families that enjoy recreational and sports activities, or travel on treacherous roads, or helping a new life come into the world, STARS is available to everyone. We face future challenges as Grand Prairie continues to see robust industry activity as well as increasing population. There is a proven medical need in northern Alberta. Over 900 patients have been flown by the STARS Grand Prairie base in less than 5 years.
Glenn, I'm sorry, just in the interest of brevity, I just want to confirm what your request is. It's on the back of the sheet, it says partnership requests a renewal of the city's $50,000 per year for 3 years. So that's what the request is. And Mr. City Manager, what's currently funded in the budget?
50.
50,000 is, yeah.
So is it 50,000 per year?
50,000 per year is funded.
So
I'm asking you for a renewal of the same commitment.
So my understanding is our current budget for 2013, 12, 13, and 14 is 50,000 in 12, 50,000 in 13, and 50,000 in 14. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
It's done. It's in there already.
Okay.
You're very, very effective. Very effective for just half a presentation. But if I could, we do have a number of other community groups. I know that you did
Okay.
wait.
Okay.
So, congratulations.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Boy, do we have more of those? Anybody else that the money's already, that'd be, our next organization was the Grand Prairie Council for Lifelong Learning. And while you're getting set, I do want to thank everybody that's in the audience. I appreciate the fact that we're behind schedule, but we do want to ensure that everybody has appropriate time to make their presentation and for council members to ask questions. Oftentimes it's council members that take the longer part of it, and but we want to ensure that everybody gets their fair hearing. So, welcome. Please introduce yourself to council. And I see Council for Lifelong Learning. We're talking about Family English.
Yes.
So that's on the back of our FCSS sheet.
And you'll be getting a handout of our PowerPoint presentation. So good afternoon, Mayor Bill Given and honorable council members. My name is Melissa Hunt. I'm the Executive Director of the Grand Prairie Council for Lifelong Learning. And Shane Wallace is our Workplace Essential Skills Coordinator, here to provide moral and technical support.
I don't know the password though.
Everybody close their eyes.
Yeah, you're gonna close your eyes.
The Grand Prairie Council is a nonprofit organization providing non-credit adult learning opportunities in the community since approximately 1984. Our programs improve the essential skills, life literacy, employability skills of our participants. We currently have had over 300 learners enrolled in our program since September of 2011. Today we are here to appeal the Community Development Committee's decision not to fund Family English program, as in the letter that we received, they deemed it was ineligible for FCSS funding under the Act and Regulations Act. We're still having technical difficulties.
We're going to continue with technical difficulties.
That's right. We've got a hard copy of it as well, so we can follow along.
I'll just keep going. So there's some good pictures on here too.
It won't.
Okay, the original FCSS budget request was $50,900 for 2012, $57,450 for 2013, and $64,800 for 2014, and that reflects an increase in numbers that we expect in our program as it has been growing over the years. So I'll just provide a brief overview of the program and our participants. The program was funded in 2009, and we received a 2-year operational grant from Alberta Advanced Education and Technology, and it was a foundational grant to be completed by 2011, and then the provincial government hoped that the community would further support the program to go ahead further. Since 2011, January, we did not receive continual funding from AENT, so the council board gave permission for the program to go ahead with council reserve funds, and we so far to date have used $45,000 of council reserve funds to operate the program. So in our ESL English language learning classes for immigrant parents, these are young families. They're often stay-at-home moms who are isolated because of language, social, and financial barriers. Our focus of the program is on everyday English and social awareness and engagement in our community. We also have for these parents on-site social and language-rich childcare so that their preschool-age children could come to the classes while they're learning English, and the children are also getting some social development as well. And it's the only program of its kind in the city. So how our Family English program helps new immigrants. We've helped over 185 adults and 71 preschool-aged children since its inception in 2009. Again, these are immigrant parents, and they're hoping to become more active and participating members of the community by gaining these language skills. And we believe that if these immigrant families, parents and the children included, have the strong foundation in literacy, community, and social awareness, they would be better equipped to support themselves, their children in school and beyond. Our motto for our family literacy program, which is also involved in our family English program, is families that learn to get together succeed together. We did go through the FCSS handbook to see where our programs would be connected with the FCSS Act and mandates. And we found that it fits under the Literacy for Parents model on page 17 of the handbook, which would be developing and promoting parent and child relationships and increasing parenting skills. Also, in the child care component, we see that our program helps with early intervention in the child care room. So many of our ESL preschool learners are at risks of delays, not having equal access to health care, and not having access to higher education as their peers who have those language skills. We offer a preschool program, which the FCSS funding model supports on pages 11, 18, and 19. We provide a nursery school program and play school setting, and we, again, focus on social development through singing, play, rhyme time, and the snacks and activities that surround the program. And in general, it's supporting new immigrants to our community. It used to take immigrants 3 to 4 years to catch up to their Canadian counterparts. Now it takes 10 years. That's a quote from Brock Carlton. The average Canadian is having 1.2 children. To keep up with the demand of workers in our province, we will need to rely on immigration, many of which will be from non-English speaking countries, again from Brock Carlton. 10% or 7,000 people in Grand Prairie speak a first language other than English, and that's from our last census. And from the city's data, since 1994, the city's population has increased 61%. And I think it's safe to say that in that number, there's a number of immigrants coming to our community. And just some quotes from our learners that have come to our program. Ting from China says, "English opens a new door to her life." Mo's Day from Iran says, "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to regain my self-confidence and live in this city as a real citizen. At the beginning, everything was difficult for me, even shopping. Now I can do much more by myself because I've had the opportunity to study English. With your sponsorship, my life and language skills will continue to improve." And Maria from Venezuela, "These classes really helped me improve my English and my social life because I met a lot of good people here. Thank you. English helps me communicate in my new country," says Lisa from Belarus. And going on to our social and development of our learners, we have opportunities for them to share and exchange their cultures. And tonight we're having our cultural dessert sharing event, which of course you're all invited to, and to enjoy some desserts from around the world. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much for the presentation. I'm not sure if that qualifies as a bribe, but we'll check. Sweets, there might be some around the table who are swayed by sweets.
Yeah.
Discussion or request for referral. Councillor Wong.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Gibbon. Melissa, can you tell me if there's any federal or provincial funding for your program?
We have the council and the Reading Network gets a base grant fund from the provincial government, from Alberta Advanced Education and Technology. And we also get a grant for our employability skills programs from Human Services, formerly Alberta Employment Immigration. But those funds are for the other council programs and not for the Family English program. We have set aside for next year $10,000 of council grants to support the Family English program, but that will not even support one semester of the program.
Okay, so the 50,000 that you're asking for is the city of Grand Prairie the only source of, or for the project, or are there other sources?
We have applied to different funders. We've applied to TransCanada, the Rotary, Cash for Camping, pending an approval from another anonymous donor from Edmonton as well. But so far, there hasn't been anyone that's come to us with funds
Okay,
for the program.
thank you.
Okay. Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mayor Gibbon. Have you contacted some corporations that are trying to bring new employees in that may need to update their English and that could donate to the program?
Yes, we have. We've approached, don't know if I can say their names, but an oil-related company in Grand Prairie. We've also approached TransCanada, and both have not supported our funding proposals.
I'd like to flag this one.
Okay. So Councillor McLean flags the Family English Program for discussion tomorrow. Doesn't look like there are any other questions, so we'll discuss the funding of the program tomorrow. Thanks very much for waiting it out with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our getting towards the end, not at the end, but towards the end, and thanks again for your patience. The Grand Prairie Area Safe Communities was the next organization that let us know that they were going to be in attendance. Sure, Councillor Rice.
Make sure I'm reading this right. Just want to clarify. I see that they got 14,000 last year and they're approved at 14 all the way across. Is that correct?
Are you talking about
Safe Communities? Yeah.
Safe Communities? Yep, I believe so.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Helen Neufeld. I'm the soon-to-be chair of Grand Prairie and Area Safe Communities. And I have with me Stuart Wilson, who is the founding father of Safety City. And we are here today to ask you to, I feel like I'm in the Dragon's Den, you know what I mean? We're here, but I don't have any props. We're here today because we're finding that at Safe Communities, we're at a critical point of needing an additional staff member. Having just returned from St. Catharines to the Safety Villages conference a few days ago, I found that of the 16 safety villages that were represented there, ours was the only one that did not have a designated director for Safety City. Our executive director, Carla Skoric, she does Safe Communities and Safety City, and it's just, she's oversubscribed right now. There's just too much for her to do. We have opportunities to create our own funding sustainability, and but with the commitments placed on Carla and the limitations of a volunteer board, we think that we've reached, or we're reaching our maximum potential. Our board and volunteers have logged over 1,200 hours this past year, and so we're focusing on finding funds for the recruitment of a committed Safety City coordinator who would take over marketing, programming, and the school liaison role. This would leave dedicated time to continuing our current commitments and making our community more aware of our online safety campus opportunities, our Red Cross e-shop, and the continued vision of offering safety programs through Safe Communities. Committed funding for staff is hardest to source, of course, because funds from our casino, our raffles, and our other grants are not eligible to be used as wages. So we're asking you if you would consider a one-time donation to our one-time grant to our Safety City in order to enable us to find a director.
Okay, so just for clarification,
Yes.
Currently in the budget then for 2012, 13, and 14 is $14,000.
Yes.
In each of those years, and so are you asking for
Yes.
something in addition to that, above and beyond?
Yes.
So let's just clarify what the total amount
Yes.
is.
Yeah, I just go as quick as I can. I'm a little worried. I'm increasingly getting called a founding father or an old boy, and so I apologize for that. But I consider this a success story. I hoped I wouldn't need to be here again, but I think we may be a victim of our own success. I think that we have. I really enjoy going past the building that a lot of people in this room were a part of putting together, and I enjoy going past it every night and seeing it busy. And so they tell me that sometimes there's 3 organizations a day are using the building, so it is busy. I think what we're finding is that Carla, who's our only employee, is busy keeping the building busy, and that's preventing somebody going out and looking for the kiosk sales and wherever else we promised you guys that we would be self-sustainable operational wise by. And so what we're looking for here is a one-time shot of 25,000. We're going to go and look for, I mean, you know, how much do you need to get a good employee to get out there, put the projects together for Safety City, and go out and look to sell the kiosks that will make us sustainable in the future. We're thinking somewhere anywhere between 30,000 and 50,000, and so the 25,000 we're asking for you guys is part of it. We'll still be going back to the county, we'll be going to the MD, we'll be going wherever to try and get the operational funds to get that one-time person for a year.
Okay.
So that's our ask.
Okay, I see Councillor Rice in the queue.
I'd like to flag it, please.
Okay, so Councillor Rice flags the Safe Communities request, and so that'll be discussed tomorrow for funding, and Council make that deliberation. Were there any other questions for the delegation? No? Thanks very much for sticking out. Thanks for being here this afternoon. Okay, so we had just a couple others by the look of it. We have the Community Foundation to speak about the Vital Signs project.
Where would I find this? I'm not finding this.
I believe we received something by email this afternoon, and it looks like there's a handout coming around. So, ladies, we don't have anything on our previously printed items, no. Ladies?
Thank you, Mayor Given, members of council and administration. Thank you for having us in today. If there is a need for a copy of that material, we can ensure that Audrey provides that to you as well.
Sure. Just to start off, so just so that we know exactly what the request is, if you can remind that or let all council know exactly what it is.
We are here today on behalf of the Vital Signs Project, which is a project that was started this year in Grand Prairie. So we have a request for $25,000 that I would first like to explain a little bit more about the project. I have with me today, I'm Tracy Babrick, Executive Director of the Community Foundation of Greater Grand Prairie, and I have with me April Weevil, who is our Project Manager for the Vital Signs Project. The Community Foundation of Greater Grand Prairie's mission is to inspire philanthropy. Our role is to help to provide a way for anyone to leave a lasting legacy for our community, and in turn to provide responsible grants to our community, and as well in our leadership role to ensure we're looking at our community to meet the needs of today, but also going forward and looking at tomorrow. Community foundations are well suited to coordinate the Vital Signs program because of the broad role we play in building community. Community foundations work with a wide range of community groups, not just one sector in a community or one community project or organization. This report, the Vital Signs Report, provides our community with a very comprehensive view of local issues and the ability to make connections between various needs and issues. Vital Signs is a national initiative that took place in 22 communities across Canada in 2011. This was the first Vital Signs report was produced in Toronto in 2001 as a result of the City of Toronto came forward and requested through council and through their administration that the Community Foundation conduct a report in regards to some needs for amalgamation. They recognize that the Community Foundation does not represent any sector, but the whole community. This year, under our leadership role, the Community Foundation of Greater Grand Prairie conducted our pilot Vital Signs report. We thank the City of Grand Prairie for your support, along with the Province of Alberta and Grand Prairie Regional College. The focus for this year was specifically on the City of Grand Prairie. Vital Signs is a community checkup that measures the health and vitality of Grand Prairie through statistics, as well as through surveys of taking the pulse of how people feel about life in Grand Prairie. It looks at our successes, it tackles tough subjects that highlights areas of real need in our community, and shares opportunities for action. Our Vital Signs Leadership Committee is made up of representatives from different sectors in the community. We'd like to thank the City of Grand Prairie committee members, Brian Gavin of Economic Development and Danelle Lang from Community Social Development for their expertise and their department support, as well as Gary Roth for his time and input. With the new census data coming out, some in 2012 and recognizing some as in 2013, the committee members, along with the Board of Directors of the Community Foundation, recognize that this year's pilot project must continue. And they've made the recommendation that we proceed with the vital signs on an annual basis. We request your consideration to continue supporting the Vital Signs project in your 3-year budget and business plan in the amount of $25,000 per year. April will share with you some more statistics and details in regards to the impact of the vital signs.
So our Vital Signs report was released just a little over a month ago, and we're already seeing some of the impact from that. One of the important things to remind you is that Vital Signs is more than a report. The report is a way to inspire dialogue and inspire people to take action, and that's really the goal of what the report should do. And what we've been able to do is since the release of the report, to keep that conversation going through a partnership with the Daily Herald Tribune, where we're continuing to highlight some of the issues in Grand Prairie, some of the things that, some of the good things that are happening as well, just to keep people informed, because people make the best decisions when they're informed, and that's what Vital Signs can do. And it does that at every level throughout the community. It's written in reader-friendly language so that the average citizen can understand the statistics and as well as the key decision makers within the community. We have also seen since the report and as a result of some of the data in the report, Alberta Health Services is taking action. They are starting a pilot project within the community, and they are going to be addressing health and wellness in the workplace. This is a very unique pilot project that is going to be watched by the rest of the province and by the rest of the country in terms of how it will be managed and what it will accomplish. And we're really pleased that Vital Signs, this was a direct result of Vital Signs. Vital Signs is also a tremendous way to gather the important and credible research that's taking place within the community, within our agencies and organizations within the community. Often these studies are conducted, but then they sit within the organizations. And what we seek to do with Vital Signs is to gather that into one place and impart that knowledge so that everyone can then make use of it. And we're also looking now for future years. We'll start prioritizing and start looking at some trends so that we can see what areas that we are making strides in and what areas that as a community we are not succeeding at and that we do need to address and look for opportunities. We're looking at expanding our boundaries with Vital Signs in the upcoming years so that we will explore not just the city but the county as well. A lot of what we found in this year's report was the data that we received reflects upon the city and the county. A lot of our organizations, their clients are city and county clients, so we really felt that was the direction that we needed to take. We have been commended by Community Foundations of Canada for the quality of data that we were able to produce in our first year, but also the action that has already taken place, and that is really, we can really commend our community for that.
So in closing, again, Vital Signs is managed by the Community Foundation of Greater Grand Prairie. We're a nonpartisan organization. We're here for the whole community. We help to build community. We have the mentorship and the support of Community Foundations of Canada and also the collective efforts of all of the other community foundations conducting reports across our nation. And so we can share best practices and to ensure that we're making it most effective and efficient for our community and ensure that we're streamlined with the best processes. So we really encourage you to consider our request. We've got a momentum going, and we think this is key for our community and going forward. And we're very grateful for the support for the initial pilot project, and we look forward to any comments you may have.
Okay, thanks very much. I see a couple in the queue. Councillor Rice?
I'll flag it.
Okay, so Councillor Rice flags the Vital Signs project. Councillor Wong, question?
Well, just for some information, what was the City of Grand Prairie's contribution for the pilot project?
It was $25,000 for 2011.
Great, thank
so
you.
It's continuing. Thank you.
Where did it come from?
Councillor Radburn?
Thank you, Mayor Given. Ladies, what's the total cost of the project?
The total cost for this year is $52,000, and our projections for a 3-year budget will be between $50,000 and $52,000 going forward. Wow. Yes, it is a costly program.
Yeah, and and why the decision to go annual? I really struggle with that, just because community hasn't had a chance to react and develop measures before you're on to the next report. So tell me why the decision of the committee to go annually.
I think both April and I can answer this, and probably she'll add a little bit to it. When you look at the trends, first off, a lot of the data that we had utilized and compiled for this report was based on 2006 statistics from the census. And when you look at the trends, we're seeing an evolution of change already. We've had members at our committee level that identified at our wrap-up meeting recently that the data that we produced and reported on in October has already seen significant changes. So our community is going to continue to see more changes as we have over the years. So we believe, and based on the study of the other community foundations that have continued to participate on an annual basis, that it is important to monitor those trends and to track and report on them because they are there. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, we actually discussed that.
I hope so.
That same, yeah, we did take that to the table. The committee felt that in these early years, it was very important to keep this momentum going as well, in addition to what Tracy said. Because with that momentum, the community will stay abreast of vital signs and will be more engaged within vital signs. So that was part of the reason why the committee had felt that it was important to proceed next year.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, ladies. So the item's already been flagged, so we'll discuss it for funding tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, and we have one last organization that's managed to stick it out to the end. Yeah. If you'd like to come and join us forward, we have the Grand Prairie Hospice Palliative Care Society. A couple of, this is not on any of our previous sheets. A couple familiar faces, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having us. I'm Heather Maneri with the Grand Prairie Hospice Palliative Care Society. I'm the Executive Director. And I don't know if you know Mr. Gorley.
I'm Dave Gorley, and just awed by the view from this side of the table.
Now you know what it feels like, eh? It feels like the Dragon's Den.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for seeing us. We're here to ask you for $10,000 a year for the next 3 years. Grand Prairie Hospice Palliative Care Society was started many years ago by a small group of people, but just became a charitable organization in 2008. I am the first employee that they have and have been with the organization for just over a year, so it's just a small organization, but we are growing fast and furiously as the demographics and the need for hospice palliative care in our society increases. So our mission is to establish and maintain expert end-of-life care for community members with terminal illness and to provide supports for their families. We're a voice for the community, an ear to public need and a hand in action. We require get no funding from anybody. We rely on donations. And now that I'm there, we'll be, of course, a lot more active with seeking out funding with grants, etc. The handout that you have from us is we conducted a survey on our website. So although it's a community survey, we did have responses from people out of this region on hospice palliative care, their experience with it, if they've had experience with it, either way, what their experience is and what they see for the future. So we will have the full report on our website, and we encourage you to take that survey. It's an ongoing survey that will roll the results up annually, so we continue to be a voice for the community and work for the community needs. Sorry, I've got a cold. Hospice palliative care is a whole person care that aims to relieve suffering and improve the quality of living and dying. It addresses physical, emotional, psychological, social, and spiritual needs, and it helps people. It's an interdisciplinary team that helps people through their final stages of life and the ability to close with their family and with their situation. So what we are needing funding for is, the office is now in my spare bedroom at home. And because we're getting so busy with the opening of the Points West 10 hospice palliative beds, we don't work with healthcare. We ensure that there'll be the best equipment in that facility, and it'll be operated with the best model of care. So we provided, with other community groups, the 6 hospice beds that are now in our hospital here. We put in the good beds up there and made sure there was TVs and microwaves and such in family areas for the hospice rooms, and that's the capacity that we're working with Points West in. We also work with home care to provide supports to families and individuals for what they need to die at home. We provide funding for education to volunteers and professionals. Actually tomorrow, there's another LEAP training which professionals from the region can access, and it's specifically for palliative care. We just provided volunteer training for palliative care volunteers. Sorry. Anyways, this isn't a health issue. I don't want you to, this is a health issue, it's a community issue. There is like a tsunami of baby boomers that are going to need hospice palliative care. It's a quality of life for people who are dying and their families. It's a support that we really need to have. So what we need to do is build partnerships in our community and advocate for proper services in this area. There is no hospice north of Edmonton. People don't die north of Edmonton until Points West opens up and the new hospice rooms at the hospital. So our society has been active for many years, advocating to the healthcare system and the governments and the people of power, and we're getting there. So, do you have anything to add, Dave?
No, I think just that this is dealing with the gaps between the medical aspect of end-of-life care and the social aspect, and providing a resource for families and people who are faced with end-of-life challenges to access resources. And the wealthy people in our society don't have those challenges. They can pay for whatever needs to be done, but there are a lot of people in our society who are not wealthy and who need resources and who need the help that the society is able to render.
I see Councillor Rice in the queue.
I have 2 questions, if I may, Your
Sure,
Worship. First question is, I'm not quite sure why Mr. Gorley isn't in Arizona at this point.
Let's stick to the relevant questions.
Second, are you doing fundraising to other organizations and government bodies?
Yes, we are. We are working with and have worked closely with the Alberta Council on Aging, and that is one of their mandates this year is hospice palliative care. So we are also working with other regional groups, and we haven't hit the county yet, but we are, and hopefully all the other municipalities around, to put on a conference in May for National Hospice Palliative Care.
And you're looking for $10,000 a year?
$10,000 a year for an office space, and
I'll flag it.
Okay, so Councillor Rice flags the request. Any further questions? I see Councillor Radburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. Good afternoon. I'm just interested, are there other palliative care societies in existence in Grand Prairie area, or are you it?
Well, we're
so
the
to
only
speak.
good one. No, don't write that down. No. There is another group in Grand Prairie. I'm not sure what they're called. I believe that I've tried to contact them a few times, and we have tried to partner with them, I think, in the past, not since I've been with the society. I think the services they offer are more, they'll come in and work with the patient and do massages and such. We have no client contact whatsoever.
Thank you.
This is just to clarify, this is the only registered charitable society?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Most of the other societies, actually, like Hythe, Beaver Lodge, Sex and Spirit, it's all home care nurses that are the societies. So.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thanks very much. So the item's been referred for tomorrow. We'll do our funding decision, and you can watch online from Grand Prairie or Arizona or wherever you happen to maybe.
We'll be at the Festival of Trees at our Memory Tree booth. If you're out there, you can write a card and make a donation.
Thank you. Thanks very much
Thank
for
you very
sticking it
much.
out this afternoon
Thank
with
you
us
for
as we made
seeing
it through our
us.
schedule. Okay, so I believe that finally is all of our community organizations. Thank you very much to everybody who attended today to present to council. It is a fairly extensive list of organizations working in a number of different areas in our community. And this is the most challenging part of budget, I think, for council. All of the funding decisions will be made tomorrow. Community organizations would be informed, I would imagine, of the decision, but they obviously can watch online and see where council chooses to go. So, council members, I think we've done the work that we can for today. We'll convene back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll start with an introduction from administration on the options that council has for funding the different flagged items, should we so choose. And then we'll go through and we'll get into actually making motions about how much we want to fund to each different flagged item. So, council members, if you flagged something, be prepared to speak to it and be prepared to start off with making a motion that says, I move that we fund, and then we'll go from there. So tomorrow's where we get down to brass tacks. Okay, so we'll call ourselves adjourned. Thanks very much, everybody. Councillor Crokin, did you have something?
No, I was just wondering if we were going to get a list again like we did this morning that would show those.
Yeah, I believe administration's been tracking all of the community organization requests, and so hopefully we'll start off the day tomorrow
Thank
with
you.
a hard copy of that for council members.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.